Welcome to the Game On podcast tonight. Brisbane Lions roar again, and they are the king of the jungle. 21 years old, no problem. Dual Norm Smith medalist and dual Premiership player.
Can the Ashcroft family set an all-time record of Premiership wins?
They can. Risk versus reward. It was a big gamble, but it did pay off. All right, let's do this. Welcome to the Game On podcast. My name's Pete. Once again, joined in the studio here with Malcolm. Malcolm, how's your week been, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Saturday, I think we thought it. Look, I thought the writing was on the wall at halftime.
Yes.
But, still hope at that stage for a close game and really probably. And let's remember, at the 12-minute mark of the third quarter, it was still only 1 point the difference.
Yep.
But then away they went. Once they got on top, kabang.
Scintillating 40 minutes of football. All right, mate, let's get into Around the Grounds, and we'll cover that in a bit more depth.
Around the Grounds.
All right, coming up a little bit later in the SANFL, we'll talk a little bit more SANFL, some AFLW, and obviously some basketball. But let's start off with the AFL Grand Final. Congratulations go to the Brisbane Lions in winning another premiership. They had to do it the hard way. Back-to-back premiers is a hard thing to do, but they proved that they were able to answer all the questions.
Oh, and they did do it the hard way. Not only the draw, let's remember they also lost the first final to Geelong, so had to do it the hard way there. Beat the Gold Coast.
Yep.
Beat Collingwood. I thought, geez, the travel should surely catch up. Geelong should be fresher, but at halftime, and I thought at halftime also, Geelong had every 50-50 decision had gone their way.
Yes.
I thought, I reckon there'll be a couple of even or uppers in the third quarter.
And that's exactly
sure
what
enough,
happened.
there was.
Absolutely.
It wasn't a good day for the umpiring.
No, it wasn't. I think it was 14-3 at one stage.
I'm not worried about the numbers.
Yes.
As an umpire, I think there's always a ridiculous thing on the numbers. I'm not worried about that. But there've been some big errors made, and a lot of them still instructions we'll talk about. The ridiculous free kick to Shannon Neal for the spoil, where that's just play on, and just the absolute bullshit of current instruction,
Yep.
of which I detest, was crucial. And then, there was subconsciously some evening up of it after halftime.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk Brisbane in particular. After a year that caused some ups and downs, plus the toughest draw, they got it all right on Grand Final Day, and that seems to be that experience that we talked about in previous episodes, in that you can't buy that. You actually need to experience it.
Well, it's not only that, it's some pretty incredible stats. So Wilmot's now played 84 games, including 14 finals. That's ridiculous. So, Adelaide looked like they had stage fright, where Brisbane, the youngsters also that was Gallup's seventh game. He's played more finals than minor round games now.
Yes.
Just some ridiculous things like that. So you had such a young, inexperienced key forwards, and you thought that's going to hurt him, but
they have a good balance of that old and new. Is it a bit of a lesson to some other clubs that have put some of their youngsters on ice? Because they seem to play them and get the best out of them. I mean, I'm certainly thinking from Adelaide's point of view. Draper is a classic example
I agree
of that, is that they should just let him go, and if he runs himself to the ground, give him a week or two off and then get him back in there.
Oh, I thought that really hurt Adelaide in the final, that they hadn't played him in the year. I think that showed out something chronic. I think he backs kids, and while on the running sheet, you've got another point further on. I think spot on in terms of the teacher.
Yes.
Nowadays, now, you've got players like, all right, I know I'm a fair bit older than you, but we were still roughly that same era where it was the coach told you to run through a brick wall, you ran through the bloody brick wall.
Absolutely.
Those days are well and truly gone.
Yep.
And
because
you've got to educate far more, explain
yes
why we're trying to do that, get the buy-in, and there's no doubt whatsoever Brisbane have got fantastic buy-in. Now, whether Fagan does the tactical side of it or not, probably not, because he's on the bench.
Yep.
I think always tactically you need to see the whole game.
Is that where Danny Daly comes in?
Yeah,
probably?
I would suspect so. And Scotty Ballace and people like that.
Yep.
I better give Ballacher a message.
Yep.
He might be sober by now.
He's celebrating still.
And that side of things. So I just think they've got the mixture right. Mm-hmm. And look, they've got 8 players under 22 in that side. And they're about to get Oscar Allen and Draper from Essendon.
Yes.
There's not a weakness in that squad whatsoever. Let's also remember, Tom Doedee hasn't played. Now, whether he comes back now that he's missed nearly 3 years now, so he's missed so much football, whether he can come back and be a key player or not is very problematical that you've missed so much. But it's still ticking every single box. And, look, there's some players there. I think because it's Brisbane a bit, unless you're watching constantly. I'm watching it. I'm going, geez, I knew Fletcher was good, but I didn't realise he was that good.
Yep.
And I think we're a little bit still like that with Will Ashcroft.
Yes.
He's won 2 Norm Smiths, and I think we're now going, geez, I knew he was good, but didn't realise how good.
Yep.
And I think that's crucial.
The Ashcroft-Dacos argument, everyone obviously puts a lot of praise and a lot of focus on Nick Dacos, but is it because they're up in Brisbane and away from the spotlight a little bit? A bit like, say, a Dangerfield here in Adelaide, played brilliantly, played just as good here in Adelaide as he did in Geelong, but he seems to be noticed a little bit more. Going back to our point about the teacher, and as I said, I do have it on the run sheet a little bit lower. Is it a case of that you do need that to, even when you're at school, when I was at school, you've got your class clown, you've got your students of the game, you've got your, the cool boys down the back and your scholars up the front. Is it a case of that he has that perfect mix? And my next question is, why isn't someone like Choco Williams getting another look in based upon
I couldn't agree more.
That sort of theory? Yeah,
no, I agree. Look, and that's where Choco was always regarded as a great educator with youngsters and all that. Yep. And yet, Australia, basically, you're written off.
Yes.
You get a job, bang, and you're going, look, we can release one here.
Yep.
My mail is very much that Hayden Skipworth was going to get the Melbourne job, and he pulled out because of their list and thinking, no, I don't think they're to contend, and also because of a few other matters which are now going to come out more and more, with like Petrarca wanting out, etc.
Yep.
And he knocked that back. He didn't pull out of it. He actually knocked the job back.
Yep.
So, there's things there that, because like McWalter's on a hiding to nothing.
Yep.
He's at the Eagles. He'll never get another job.
Yep.
Look, they might start to improve and I emphasise might.
Yes.
In 3 or 4 years, well, he's going to be out the door then, and he'll never get looked at again. He might get another assistant job, but he won't get anything else.
Yep. Speaking of the West Coast, just literally hot off the press, they're going to get an end of first round pick and 4 extra list spots for rookies as well. So that helps them in some way. But you're right. Ken Hinkley seems to be a good teacher as well.
Yeah.
Fagan's now, 62, 63, 64, whatever his age. Apologies to Fags if he's listening on his age there. But, maybe those elder statesmen that are ex-teachers does come in handy when it comes to building an AFL list, being around an AFL list, and obviously building for sustained success.
Oh, look, there's no doubt whatsoever just in terms of getting that buy-in. And, obviously I still have contact. Things like the herds and I know now they want to explain far more than we did.
Yes.
And that's society, our society's changed.
Absolutely. The super sub, mate, perfectly planned and the sacrifice the team needed to win. What were your thoughts on the Lachie Neale situation, not only before the grand final, but obviously once the grand final started and he was named sub? Was it the risk at the time? I know hindsight's a wonderful thing, but was it the right move in the end? Early on.
Yeah, look, I thought originally that it was just a media beat-up. I thought there's no way in the world. He's done his calf. You don't come back from a calf 22 days later, 21, 22 days later. And as the week went on last week, I thought, shit, he is going to play.
Yeah.
This is it. And then
they put him through the ringer.
Getting named sub, I thought, yeah, it's interesting. Interesting call. Big call, interesting call. And look, if they'd gone down, then he's in all sorts there.
Absolutely.
And he said that afterwards. But he came on a little bit scratchy. And let's remember, he hasn't played any games virtually for it. He came back from an injury.
80 odd days.
Yeah, he came back from an injury and did it again, a different injury. So he had virtually played 1 game in 8 weeks.
Yep.
But then that goal, that was it. They might as well declared, done a Jeff boycott, in you come.
Yep.
And away he went. It was a huge call to play him. I thought at halftime, geez, it's a bit early. If he does it again here, they could get exposed, and that. But
he was the spark.
Turned out to be a master stroke.
He was the spark they needed, as well as Charlie Cameron had an absolute blinder in that third quarter where he did bust the game open, and would have liked Charlie to do that against Richmond in 2017 for the Crows as well, which sort of hurts them a little bit. All right, let's move on to Geelong, mate. They're licking their wounds after a bit of a mauling there. What are your thoughts on how Chris Scott sort of approached the game?
I thought he had a stinker. Like, Chris Scott's regarded as the best match day coach, and he had an absolute Barry Crocker. There was some bizarre things, like Mullen started on the bench. Now, he either goes straight to McCluggage, right, you're in for the same treatment, and all that, or he goes to someone separate, and it's done. He goes to Ashcroft.
Yes.
I don't mind that either way, but not on the bench. And then Shannon Neal had got destroyed by Andrews last time they played, and also even at Geelong when Brisbane won.
Yes.
Shannon Neal. It should have been lead, and lead some more. I just want you running up the ball, and actually then go. And we talk about it a lot, and I do. Just kick it low, kick it to space. Back in Dempsey, Bailey Smith, Dangerfield to run onto it. I just thought they got. Andrew's the best defender of the game. He's the best player at spoiling from the front that I've ever seen.
Yes.
And, that's a really hard skill to do, and he does that brilliantly. Well, he just virtually went, Neil, I don't care about you. I'm just going to read the ball.
Yep.
And so it had to be a case, we've got to try and get the ball to him. And the other thing about Neil is he can kick from 55, 60. Yes. That's his strength. He got that garbage free kick and kicked it from 55 and made the distance and kicked the goal. So I just couldn't work a lot of their tactics out. The other thing, I go on about this all the time.
Yep.
Also, they're going zone defence. Zorko and Fletcher in particular were just cutting through the zone so easily. You've got two of the elite, probably 10 best kicks in the competition just doing that.
Yes.
And Wilmot's not that far behind either.
And then you bring Neil on at halftime, and he was just as good.
But they were just going through that zone. So why not have gone, right, let's change up. Let's go man on man. Just go man on man, beat your man. We don't want them cutting through and going through the middle. Make them fight, make them earn territory more. But they didn't. And Brisbane's homework of moving the ball quicker forward, getting it forward more, not giving Geelong time to set up was crucial. And, look, very rarely does one club in anything win a coaching battle against the other.
Yes.
Like 10 love, effectively. Glenelg Nord last year's grand final.
Yes.
Nord got -10 now. I can now be honest.
Yep.
Things like that. And I just thought he outcoached himself.
Yep.
I thought they were too smart for their own good.
Is it a case of forwards just trying to sneak out the back and get that cheap one? Because that's what it looked like with Neil, whereas you're saying lead up.
Yeah. And that
time
should
and time
been
again
drummed into him. I don't want to see you try to get a goal over the back.
Yep.
No, I don't want to see that all day. I want you to lead up.
Because Harris Andrews is just picking him off.
And,
absolutely crazy. The two best sides for changing their tactics mid-game or some part of the game or from week to week. It was unusual for Scotty not to be able to recognise that and do it. Is it a case of...
I thought they also lost at selection.
Yeah.
Like, Blitzarves has dominated in the finals in the ruck. He's virtually been the extra ruck rover, so not going to worry about tap out so much, but he's so good on the ground. Bringing Stanley in, and he wasn't worth a burnt crumpet.
Yep.
I thought that was crucial as well.
Dangerfield obviously backing up from a huge prelim final. It's a bit harder when you get a bit older to back those up. He just looked out of sorts and just not quite switched on.
No, he made one error where he marked a good mark, played on, should have kicked that on the left foot. If he kicks that on the left foot, that's to a contest at the minimum. We played on the right, and as he's running off, I'm thinking he's going to kick this out on the full.
Yep.
Sure enough.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
But I also thought he got left at full forward for too long. And I think out of that, they're going, all right, we haven't got Cameron effectively. Neil's doing nothing. We need Dangerfield to kick a goal. But I think he was just there for too long. So there was one stage where Brisbane got right on top and the people saying, we need more out of Dangerfield. I'm going, bit hard when he stuck it full forward at the other end.
Absolutely. Well, that's where that chaos ball comes in, and let Stengel get to work. You know, some of their small forwards get to work as well.
He pulled out one time badly too.
Yeah, that'll be something that definitely comes to light, I suppose, in the review. Zorko, mate, he just seems to be getting better and better, and that handball to Neil for that goal just summed it up for them as far as being switched on and just being able to get their players in the
We also read it through to come through the middle and gathering it. I mean, just remember, every club knocked him back. Yeah,
and he took on Bailey Smith as well, which at that stage was getting very, very interesting as to how he was going to get himself into the game as well. Rayner couldn't get involved in the game, but those couple of tackles, those bumps, those tackles, just when they absolutely need it, was crucial.
Exactly, and that's where...
And McCluggage was in the same boat.
Yeah, the 1% is being judged on that, which is what I'm sure that he would have been saying to Cam. Just keep going. Back yourself in, do the defensive stuff. I just want the defensive stuff out of you.
Yep.
And he did it.
Absolutely. Just worth noting that the last 11 times that Brisbane and Geelong have met, it's gone 6-5 to Brisbane. So they have been sort of neck and neck for quite some time. Let's talk about Chris Fagan. I know we've moved on to Geelong, but let's talk about Chris Fagan here, considering we're talking about coaches. He's now a dual premiership coach. Would you have ever seen that taking place? As I think he's mentioned on one of the footy shows there that, you know, he's done a pretty long apprenticeship of about 19 odd years, doesn't have the elite AFL experience or VFL AFL experience, but he's been able to come in and become a dual premiership coach. Is that a pathway that might be explored a little bit more in the future?
Well, purely because there's been such success this way, that does encourage others. So let's remember, Brisbane were they were at the rock bottom, the go home five, all that sort of stuff, and people wanted out of Brisbane, left, right, and centre.
Yep.
And Justin Lepich there, yet another person who may probably better suited to other roles than the head coach, struggled. Players wanted out.
Yep.
So he started with rock bottom. Then they got through to finals. They built up. And then they kept losing finals again. And so the words were, they're going to need someone better tactically and all that side of things.
Yep.
But Brisbane kept persevering with them. Not only they won 2 in a row, let's remember that they're a bee's dick away from winning 3 in a row.
And they could even go 4 if they get it right as well. Trying to keep those coaching group together is going to be key because Fagan's got 2 more years left on a contract. Do you see him coaching beyond that?
Oh, possibly, but they're also there. You know, it doesn't hurt if you lose someone and you bring in a different voice. That never hurts. Mm-hmm. You know, so as we said, so they're backing up. They also pick up Daniel Annaby, I think he's pronounced. I think that's correct pronunciation.
Yes.
Who would have gone really high in the draft, and they get him with the academy. So, yet again, now Marshall came off in the grand final, didn't do much, but he's another 20-year-old. They've now given experience to, etc.
Yep.
So, you know.
It's hard to see where it goes wrong. Let's talk about some statistics here. Hitouts for the match, Brisbane 64, and their average is actually for 2025 at 40. So they got on top there. Is that, talking about Geelong, is that one weakness that they need to plug a hole with, is their ruck? And is Marshall probably the number one target there?
Sounds that way. But I'm not sure that Marshall... I think Marshall's strength is more around the ground as well. I don't think he's a great tap ruckman.
Yep. What do you do with Blixarves?
I actually like him in the ruck.
Yeah.
Because he just
gives you that extra dimension.
But he can play anywhere.
Yep.
It didn't. They even tried him for a while on Harris Andrews, but Harris Andrews just went the same thing. I don't care who.
Yep.
I'm reading it. I'm backing my ability to read the game.
Does Harris Andrews just... A question without notice here. Does Harris Andrews remind you, does Max Michaelani remind you a little bit of Harris Andrews? Similar styles?
Yeah, a little bit. Playing style, he reminds me of Greg Phillips.
Okay.
Where Greg Phillips did that as well.
Yep.
Zoned off. You go where you like. I'm going to back myself in.
Yep.
And, Greg Phillips was incredible. He was the player for Port Adelaide. Yes, they had Russell. But Russell had great duels with other centre and all that, but trust me,
Phillips was the one to get through.
teams clubs use up far more midnight oil planning on Greg Phillips than they did on everyone else.
Yep. Their clearances were 52 for the match. The average was 41. So certainly getting their hands first on the ball there was very, very important. And the other one was stoppage clearances, 37 to 28.
And I think it was scores from stoppage was the huge difference.
It was indeed. So in all of those statistics, Brisbane did play, or their statistics were much higher than what they had normally done. And that probably showed in that 40-minute period there where they just went completely nuts. Geelong, going back to Geelong, just to finish us off, mate, physically looked a little bit shot to half-time, which we've already talked about, but did the soft draw leading into the finals hurt them a little bit?
Yeah, possibly, but
we thought it would keep them fresh, but do you think that gut-running, hard contest hit-out, they needed to have at least one or two of those leading into a final series or finals?
Yeah, possibly, and look, they might have missed Stewart more than we realised. Jeremy Cameron getting injured. Look, he stayed on the ground. He shouldn't have. But you understand it's a grand final. But geez, broken arm's not something you can carry. I thought that it was reckless, but I think they're going, well, shit, where else are we going to get a go? And you can the players go, no, I want to play. It's grand final.
Yep.
I'll go through the pain barrier. So I get that as well.
And the chase down on that wing was
a fair. And that put Geelong back in front. That chase. So if they get up from there. Then Cameron's lauded as an absolute hero. So,
Cameron obviously not finished on 90-odd goals for the season, or maybe 90 exactly.
Yeah, I think it's 90.
Can we see him backing that up next year and potentially getting the ton? Because we haven't seen one for a while.
I think this was the year, though, with their draw. And, they had that back half of the year, and I think we all thought, well, shit, he's a fair chance to kick 10 against Essendon and 8 to 10 against Richmond, and he'll get there, but it didn't happen.
Yep.
So, these days with far less one-on-one, it's unlikely.
Yep.
So I was hoping, but didn't happen.
Last one on Geelong, mate. Generally a team that gets beaten up a bit in the grand final drops out of the 8 the following year. Can we see that happening to Geelong, or is there too much class there to allow that to happen?
One, I think there is, but also they've got the best draw in the game. Let's remember that. They get 8 or 9 games at home and don't have to travel like everyone, like the other interstate side, the interstate side. So they've got easily the best draw effectively every year. And they don't play the big Victorian clubs in general at Cardinia Park. We're trying to remember what it's called now.
GMHBA. Yep.
So that's a guaranteed 6-7 wins. They've only got to win another 5 or 6, and then they're in the finals. So,
and they generally play pretty well at the MCG as well. So, very, very interesting. All right, mate, let's talk AFL hot topics. The silly season has begun with the big 3 of the players that potentially want to move for a fresh start. We've seen Christian Petrarca obviously arrive in Adelaide yesterday. Are you surprised that was so open?
I think it's pointless trying to hide it. How can you hide it? He's known. These days, everyone phones photo Petrarca seen at the airport. So I don't think you can hide that. So.
Wouldn't you have thought that Adelaide might have just made the quick trip over to Melbourne and disguised it as a fact-finding mission as part of the grand final and meet with him?
I reckon he's wanted to come over and see the facilities and something like that. And that's something...
Is that a positive for Adelaide?
Yeah, Adelaide can sell that compared to what he's had to put up with at Melbourne.
Yep.
So I think that's a selling point. You're also trying to sell Adelaide to his wife.
Yep.
So I think it had to be here.
Yes. Do you think the new facility at Thebarton plays a part in that?
Oh, I'm sure they would have been. That would be part of the selling process.
Yep.
So
because of what they're moving in mid-2026, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. So it would have been. That would be a selling point.
Yep.
I mean, the facilities now at Footy Park are still a mile better than what Melbourne have had. So I think it had to be here. So I think out of that, and I think now it's just becoming more open. Look. Sam Mitchell meeting Oscar Allen early in the year, that never, that used to be clandestine.
Yep.
Don't dare
get
caught,
Is it a case of that we do what the NRL are doing and open it up and allow players to have these conversations and also make decisions mid-year or towards the end of the year?
Dylan's already come forward and said that won't happen under my watch. So, yeah. But,
what do you think?
I think it's time we accept.
We have to
showed a
accept
bit of
it.
maturity. Like people, rugby followers have accepted it for years.
Yep.
And I laugh all the time. Like a Petrarca or Merritt. Oh well, you've got to get rid of them. They can't. You don't want them back, right? Sydney stood form with Ryan O'Keefe. He won the Norm Smith that year. He wanted out. He was standing, and it was virtually only done on the last day. No, you're staying. No, you're staying.
Yep.
Players get on with it. This crap that, it creates far more turmoil. Bullshit. Other players accept it.
Is it more for the media?
Yeah, and I just think probably people I think that's how the modern things change, right? Did you used to think there's resentment? Now,
Yes.
it's their job. No, he's staying. Merritt come down one. If he's still at Essendon, he'll be the leader. Other players won't have a problem with that.
Yep. It's going to be an interesting watch, that's for sure. What are your thoughts on Charlie Curnow?
It's going to
Yes,
be interesting.
no.
This one. Oh, look, I think
Sydney,
we've got to
Geelong?
the fact all three are under contract means though they've got the upper hand there.
Yep.
And I hope Adelaide don't sell the farm for Petrarca because he's 29. He's not overly burdened with pace, which I think is still their major weakness. I'm not.
Do you see him playing the Matty Crouch role of farming it out a little bit?
No, I think he's
under.
No, I think he's more
outside?
Yeah, he's more outside than Crouch.
Yep.
So I don't think he's what they need. But yeah, wait and see.
Bailey Smith, not Bailey Smith, sorry, Zach Bailey.
Yes.
Yes, Zach Bailey. Sorry, apologies there. Getting them all mixed up. From Sydney, surely
From Brisbane.
Brisbane, sorry. There you go. Surely he's the man that Adelaide should be targeting from an age profile point of view, from an elite kick point of view, and also big
Pace.
game experience and pace, yeah.
He ticks every box. Yeah. But he's not. Yeah. I think he's more for mine the prototype, the player they need than Christian Petrarca.
Would you offer him big money to get him out of Brisbane?
Personally, yeah.
Will he go, because considering they might be looking at a third?
It's going to be hard to get anyone. Like they're saying that Archie's definitely. It's also Archie's requested a trade to Adelaide. Now I'm not so sure that's correct so far.
Yep.
So they've already really probably committed a fair bit of coin to Archie, and
they didn't get Wangani Malira, so
No.
they do it.
Yeah.
It would say
suggest
that they've got money in
Yeah,
it.
true.
Yep.
Which I sort of don't get from saying Western Bulldogs. The Wilkie one won't go away. The Butters one won't go away. How have they got with that list so much money spare?
Yep.
Sort of don't get that. Okay, they're going to get Hugo Hagen's money wiped off, so
Yes.
that does give them that. But yeah, it's a bit confusing there as well.
Him to Gold Coast looks like a possibility. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Again, it's one which has got me a bit beat from the Gold Coast side of things. They've got King, got Walter and Reed and Farah as well. Maybe they're saying Hugo Hagen's a bit more lead up one.
Yep.
But it means one of those is not going to get played. Now, I still think Jed Walter, is so exciting.
Yes.
For me, I think they've got to play him. Yep. So, yeah, I'm not convinced of. And there's going to be you can't say there's not a question about his character.
No,
so,
no, but you're backing yourself in, and I do have this on my list a little bit. Is that club culture and is it a real thing that clubs can build into? Because I did hear Scotty talk about it during grand final week, saying it's not really, the be all of end all.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think Gold Coast are trying to establish theirs. It's not like Geelong, Hawthorns is there.
Carlton.
It's a blueprint. Gold Coast are trying to establish it. Now, they're in the window.
Yes.
I think a Queensland grand final next year is a big possibility.
Yeah.
Now, they're contending. Do you want to have him in there now? Is that going to cause, So I'm not so sure.
Last one, mate. Merritt, Hawthorn, yes, no?
I still think it's a wait and see. It's a wait and see what they can offer. Yeah, look, I think all three of those will go down to the last hour of trade day.
So
That
something
last hour will be spectacular.
All right, looking forward to that. Trade week starts next week as well. All right, let's move on to the Crows. Obviously, Petrarca's met. We talked about Zach Bailey. We've talked about Kayla Marchi. Is there anyone smoky, sort of like a Rowan Marshall, or someone like that might actually fit their needs? Because they probably are one ruckman short at the moment.
Yeah, there's also been talk. Stevens, who's a fringe player at Geelong's been mentioned. There's that other midfielder, bigger builder, but with pace, has been mentioned. So there's things there.
Yep.
Look, they did go and spend a lot to get McAndrew on the list last year. Now, I still think it's more than smelly what happened.
Yes. From an SANFL point of view, yes.
Yeah, but I still think it was rather strange.
Yep.
Out of that. Now, McAndrew dominated at SANFL level. Do they just play him?
Yep.
You know, it was funny. I wanted, personally, I would have delisted O'Brien years ago. I've said that with covering old ground.
Absolutely.
Then he has that spell during this year, and you think, geez, is he just a really late developer? Wow. And then he was shithouse.
The last 4 or 5 weeks. Yep. Agreed. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting watch for Adelaide, and I think they're going to be as active as anybody during this trade period. Let's talk Port Adelaide. Darren Reeves moving from Glenelg in the SANFL to Port Adelaide in the AFL program. Where do you see him fitting in there?
I'm not sure what role he'll end up getting. He's
come in as an assistant coach, but that could mean anything.
Yeah, so we just got to wait and see. But it's an interesting one that he re-signed for Glenelg and extended the contract. Then all of a sudden, Port must have upped the ante, you suspect.
Yep.
So, yeah, I dare say you'd be a bit bewildered that as Glenelg, well, hang on, he's recommitted and then a few weeks later, no, or even a week later wants out. So, yeah, it's a bit weird.
Is it a case of contracts are written up these days with potential
there'd be
higher honours?
Yeah, there'd be out clauses in it and all that side of things, because otherwise Glenelg could say, well, no, get stuffed, you sign. Yeah, so, yeah.
That one's going to be an interesting watch from Glenelg point of view, but it's also going to be an interesting watch from Port Adelaide. And let's finish off, mate. The Saints' emerging talent takes out their club best and fairest this year. A big year of growth for the young man, and was on everybody's lips there for about, 8 or 10 weeks, and the offer got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I don't think in the best and fairest that there would have been anyone else got more votes than him in the game against Melbourne, like the embarrassing Brownlow bit. Yes.
Absolutely.
Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder part of umpiring for the year.
Yep, that one could have been, done completely differently. All right, mate, last one, mate. Next year, what do we expect at the early stage? Who's going to be challenging potentially Brisbane for a spot in the finals? Or do we wait until after the trade period?
And see. And look, I think everything this year there was a big gap between the nine and everyone else. Now
this is why I asked.
Tradition says two sides drop out, two come in. Let's wait and see out of there.
Yep.
Where you're saying, well, hang on, who's going to close the gap out of that? From there.
Well, my money's on Sydney.
Yeah, I think Sydney's probably the
St
one
Kilda
there,
if they recruit.
Maybe, or they've recruited, but then you wonder, are some of the other players getting pissed off that how much money's then gone into TBKs, and they're throwing money. I think it's Flanders from Gold Coast has got a big offer. So, yeah, there could be money to spend, St Kilda.
Well, they do, and they're going to disrupt this trade period more than they ever have. So
should go for a jog with a St Kilda Guernsey. Yeah,
you might get a game. Western Bulldogs, do you see them maybe stepping up?
Yeah, obviously. So, mate, it's just going to be interesting to see what they try. They try to get Silvani. They've made an offer for Wilkie. They're now finally admitting that they've got a weakness in defence. How bizarre. That goes back to 97, 98, even still back then when Matty Robran took them to the cleaners. How
can clubs, question about notice, just before we get on to what's coming up next, how do clubs miss that? Because Melbourne have missed a forward, Bulldogs have missed a back. How does that go on for so long when clearly everybody in his, his dog knows that that's where the deficiency is?
I think So Lobhout was reasonable last year. I don't think he was quite as good as some people said, but he was reasonable. Where this year he falls away. Father Time seemed to catch up with Jones, and then all of a sudden
They look exposed.
Yeah. And it was. Their midfield's dominating, but they're still managing to lose consistently to the other side. So, it was crazy. I couldn't work it out why, and now it looks like he'll leave. Bo Karmas wasn't given more opportunities. I couldn't work that out.
Yep. It's going to be an interesting watch. All right, mate, we better get off to a quick break. Let's have a look at what's coming up. Sturt unveiling their premiership colours on the chimney. Adelaide celebrate a win for one of their milestone ladies in the AFLW. And the Adelaide 36ers get off to a great start with their number one recruit going completely nuts.
You're listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
A dents and scratches putting a dent in your day? Introducing Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide, your trusted solution for automotive woes. With over 2 decades of expertise, Roger Steen Crash Repairs guarantees top-notch service, restoring your vehicle to its former glory in no time. From minor dings to major collisions, our skilled technicians handle it all with precision and care, using state-of-the-art equipment and techniques.
Roger Steen Crash Repairs saved my car. It looks brand new.
Fast, friendly and reliable. I wouldn't trust anyone else with my vehicle. Don't let accidents slow you down. Visit Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide at 14 Penner Avenue, Glynde, for quality service you can count on. And here's a special offer just for our listeners. Mention this podcast and receive a $100 discount on your repair. Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide. Excellence in every repair.
All right, as per usual, we thank our sponsors. We might as well get some housekeeping out of the way first. If you want to like, rate and subscribe to this podcast, please do that. Pass it on to friends, family and teammates. All right, mate, let's move on with the SANFL. Sturt unveil their premiership colours on top of the chimney. Exciting times ahead for Sturt with a few players going to possibly be in the draft, but they've also retired a couple of champions along the way as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. There's also rumours around, and let's drop one.
Yeah, mate.
That Hosey from Glenelg has been given it. Let's just say a club called Moonta might be in the equation. Let's wait and see on that one.
Well, that was going to be my next question, is that SANFL players or ex-AFL players bypassing the SANFL to go and play in local football leagues. I do have it down here a little bit lower, is that how do the SANFL pivot to make the competition more exciting again?
Oh, there's got to be some salary cap come into it, increasing that. But then there's other clubs who are struggling to stay surviving. You know, it's caught between a rock and a hard place. I think SANFL clubs have got to be smarter and not have so many meetings and train so often. And, you know, Mitch Grigg and Brad McKenzie were 2 lost to Nord purely through bloody meetings.
Yep. Fair enough. We did mention this a little bit earlier there, that Glenelg are looking for a new head coach after their back-to-back premierships and their 3rd consecutive grand final. Who do they look at? I mean, Nathan Bassett would have been the ideal candidate before West Adelaide snapped him up. I know the SANFL had a little bit to do with that appointment, but who did Glenelg look at as a potential replacement? Do they have a player that has been in the system with Glenelg for a period of time step up to that role, potentially retiring from playing, but into that role?
I think it's so hard. Look, Darren Reeves wasn't well known. Like, he coached at North Adelaide, and he wasn't a huge name. It was a bit of a surprise when he got it, you know. And it was a controversial thing. Like, you know, Brett Hand did get McGlynn grand final, he got the chop.
Yep.
But then they've won 2 premierships since. So, you know, and lost the grand final to what was easily the best side.
Yep.
So I think they're, who knows? I think it's too hard to names in that regard. I think is just
this
so
early
hard.
on. No, that's fine. Nord's best and fairest for those Nord supporters. Congratulations, Billy Cootie.
Yep.
Nord didn't start the year all that well, but finished off almost in a blaze of glory.
And should have played in the grand final.
Yep.
Nord lost that game more than Glenelg winning it. And I'm not referring to at the end. Nord should have been 3 or 4 up at half time.
Yep, a couple of missed opportunities. All right, let's move on to the AFLW. Now that we've got a little bit of clear air, we'll obviously be talking a little bit more AFLW over the next couple of weeks. But Adelaide celebrating style with a come-behind victory at Unley against Sydney in a milestone game there for Ebony Marinoff. Do the Crows know that they need to play 4 quarters of football, not just turn up for 2 quarters? Because it seems to be the trend.
It ebbed back and forth, but it was a lot of lead changes, but all within a goal. It was quite incredible in that regard, and came home and didn't kick a goal in the last quarter, but seemingly still had the game under control. Was strange. So, yeah, I did watch the last quarter.
Yes.
I was at trying to think of which pub I was at that stage.
The Arca maybe?
No, I wasn't there. No, I was trying to think. Down off. No, it's got me beat. Got me beat. But it was out and about trying to sell books. So, the mile off from the cross from the mile end down there.
Oh. Hilton Hotel.
Hilton, that's the one. I knew it was on the tip of the tongue.
Hit them up for a sponsorship.
So So
Adelaide, certainly getting the better of that contest.
Watched the basketball on the other channel at the time.
Yep.
Yeah, and I may have ended up at the Paynham Tavern to watch the end of the rugby. So I was trying to do the right thing for the show as well.
We were indeed.
Yes.
Port Adelaide have some unwanted history on their side after giving up their largest score in a quarter in AFLW history. What
I've had a look at the highlights there, and so you'd just seen the end score, and I didn't look at anything till the highlights. Port kick another goal, another goal.
They look like they're in control.
I'm thinking, they made a mistake in the score at the front here, and then away.
St Kilda
went.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Got over the line by 11 points there. Let's quickly just roll through some other results there. The Cats going down to 7 points to Hawthorn. Melbourne having a huge 87-point victory against the Gold Coast Suns. Almost the same as what's happening in the men's is happening in the women's, is you've got that almost two-tiered competition with standard as well.
It's gone too quick.
North Melbourne getting up there over Essendon. North Melbourne had a bit of a scare, and we didn't talk about this much last week because obviously the AFL Grand Final was on. They were down by 28 or something odd points there into the third quarter and ended up winning by about 4 or 5 goals. So they are the team to beat there. Carlton getting up by 9. The Bulldogs getting up by 57, and the Lions having a huge weekend, up by 34 points over Richmond, and the West Coast Eagles pushing towards a finals campaign. Adelaide are inside the top 4. Do we expect them to sort of stay there based upon previous years and also the level of talent that they do currently have?
Yeah, I do think they're probably a layer below North Melbourne especially. And Brisbane seem to have the wood on them.
Yep.
Mind you, they probably should have beaten Brisbane this time. But I think mentally, mentally there that they seem to struggle a bit against Brisbane.
Yep.
AFLW
ladder: Kangaroos, Melbourne, Hawthorn, Adelaide, Carlton, Sydney, Brisbane, and West Coast Eagles make up the top 8. There isn't too many points between 9th and 4th at the moment. So. The next couple of weeks are going to be an interesting watch, that's for sure. All right, let's move on to basketball. One of Adelaide's star recruits shines in game 1 for the club, 39 points. Best opening to a season or a debut game for a new club for any player in the NBL history of 39 points in 40 minutes.
Yeah, man. Look,
Bryce Cotton.
I think it's also Adelaide's first win on the first game of the year.
For a fair while as well.
For about 6 or 7 years.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And the Brisbane Bullets, I believe, have actually been a bogey team for the 36ers in the past as well. So certainly ticking some boxes. It was a little bit rusty, but you've got, 8 or 9 new players to the club. So trying to find time for them to gel a little bit is going to be interesting. They're going to get it better and better as the season goes on.
Oh, and Cotton becomes a naturalised Australian soon, so that
opens up an
another opportunities.
Yep.
Probably one thing which I find strange is some clubs have played 3 games already, and some have played 1.
Yep.
And had played last weekend and
round 2, and
it's a bit of a dog's breakfast. Now, I get it in the travel schedule; they want to go from there to there, so I get that. But it does seem weird.
And the international team playing against the NBL teams playing against the Greek sides, and so on and so on. So, I think basketball is probably the one sport that can be a little bit adaptable and flexible when it comes to their schedule. But you're right, it is interesting looking at the ladder going, hang on, Adelaide is sitting second on the table, yet they've played 1 game and everyone else has played 2 or 3. Weird. So it's going to be an interesting watch. All right, Adelaide playing the Cairns Taipans this weekend at... I
think it's Thursday night.
It is Thursday night, that's exactly right, 2nd to the 10th. So get on, would it be?
Is that home or away?
No, that one's away in Cairns.
I thought
Cairns
it was away.
Convention Centre, that's for sure there.
Yeah.
Sticking with basketball there, unfortunately another recruiter's had his contract terminated, which we sort of talked about because of the drug scandal. Were you surprised that he came out so strong and sort of had a crack at the club for not knowing what was going on, or not sort of dealing with it the way that they should have dealt with it from his point of view?
As with a lot of those things, probably the truth's in about the middle. So
Two sides to every story, that's for sure. Yeah. Do we see Adelaide getting up against Cairns this weekend?
Yeah, I'll tip them.
Yep, back them away.
Yep.
All right, mate. Let's take another quick break. What do we got coming up, mate? Friday and Monday. Let's have a look. Jake Lehmann Part 2. I can't believe that I actually missed this one a few weeks ago, so we'll play that one. And Darren Webber. So a bit of an all-cricket flavour to this weekend, mate.
You're listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
A dents and scratches putting a dent in your day? Introducing Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide, your trusted solution for automotive woes. With over 2 decades of expertise, Roger Steen Crash Repairs guarantees top-notch service, restoring your vehicle to its former glory in no time. From minor dings to major collisions, our skilled technicians handle it all with precision and care, using state-of-the-art equipment and techniques.
Roger Steen Crash Repairs saved my car. It looks brand new.
Fast, friendly and reliable. I wouldn't trust anyone else with my vehicle. Don't let accidents slow you down. Visit Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide at 14 Penner Avenue, Glynde, for quality service you can count on. And here's a special offer just for our listeners. Mention this podcast and receive a $100 discount on your repair. Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide. Excellence in every repair.
Flashbacks.
Up they go at the first in of bounce. Fell at their feet. James is there, diving in Primus. He's over the ball, dragged down. There we go. Not completely unexpected, but they have to be careful. Free kick plucked out of this. It's going to Mead. Big roar. They won the toss. They get the first free kick. First kick. There's a fight inside the centre square. 2 players wrestle. Meantime, here's an opportunity. Burgoyne on the burst. That would have been a classic start, but he's missed.
It's that kind of speed. A few of those players in the port side, and Burgoyne was an example of that. Hit the pack hard, got the crumbing possession, and broke clear. But at midfield flurry, it has to be controlled aggression under pressure.
Prosciutto. Welcome around to Australia, to Football Park in Adelaide. Showdown number 1. Less than a minute played. Port score to behind. They won the toss. They're going right to left. Here's Smart winning in the race to the ball. Mead is with him. Across the line it goes. Glorious day in Adelaide. Very gentle crossing breeze blowing towards the outer side. Port bench. McCartney, one side, will have a record of 1-3 at the end of the afternoon. Johnson towards half forward. Bond was there. Rashudo did nicely. Gets it away to support. Rintoul's kick ill-directed. Wanganeen's in the road. The champ comes away from the half-back line towards midfield. Dickey not paid the mark. Bickley falling to the ground. Lockwood tried to knock it on. Opportunity for Wilson across the body. Well played. Taken up the ground by Fabian Francis to the run of Brown. A couple of bounces. Left half forward. Vacant goal square. He goes for it. Will it run on? Bounces once. Pulls up. Tregenza gets back in the nick of time and touches it right on the line. Cliffhanger.
It's a different David Brown in a Port Guernsey, I think. He just looks like he's gained a couple of yards of pace, but playing as a genuine on-baller now and running hard with the ball at 6 inches from a very good start for Port.
Rodney Jamieson is a beautiful kick, and that was no exception as he finds Mark Rashudo way out at half-back. He drives it low. Oh, some good strong play by Port, taken by Ben Hart. He's got support from McLeod. McLeod coming through half-back and drives it long to half-forward. Nigel Smart on the lead. Couldn't take the mark. Hotly pressing him is Darren Mead. This is Bond. Breaking away with it. That's Shane Bond. On to Fabian Francis, who drives it long. A chance for a mark here by Brewer. Oh, couldn't quite hang on.
Extra time. Big finish.
All right, couldn't help but play a little bit of football just to finish us off for the footy season there. I know that you're not keen on the first showdown there.
The Footy Park Bar might have been the winner that day. I think Jeff Wilson and a few of us, yes, remind ourselves a long way to go in the year, right. And exactly what Blighty did. Walked in and wrote 18 up on the board.
Yep. Maybe that's a bit of a coaching tactic for some coaches moving forward to next season. All right, mate, let's move on to tennis. Alex de Minaur has found his mojo again to finish off the year in style after a couple of tough months. The Laver Cup might have just given him a little bit of inspiration, but he's got to take on Sinner now at the China Open or in Beijing. It's the first time that he's obviously played him in a little while and hasn't got a win against him. Can we mount a case?
Very hard to.
Yep.
It is extremely hard to, but it's not a major. He can probably go in hopefully a bit more relaxed and just have a crack.
Yep.
As we know, sport is played above the ears. Mm-hmm. Hopefully Sinner has a down day. That's what you can hope for.
Alex was obviously part of the world winning team in the Laver Cup there. Andre Agassi was coach along with Pat Rafter. Gee, you couldn't have two of the nicer blokes in tennis sitting in your corner just giving you a little bit of advice every end. Does that hold him in good stead as far as these type of tournaments go when he's got to step up?
Doesn't hurt, put it that way.
Yep.
You know,
being able to call on that.
A couple more mentors, hopefully, and so. Yep. And Agassi, pretty good player in a crunch situation too. Yep. So
wasn't the biggest guy out in the tour, but he just knew where to play. Exactly, it's very similar. Exactly right. But it's the women actually who are headlining at the moment in Australian tennis, with Maya Joint and Priscilla Hon having some pretty big victories just recently. Hon obviously getting over Ostapenko, who was obviously the former Roland Garros champion as well. So 27 years of age, maybe just getting there, and Maya Joint on the other end of the scale as a youngster will be inside potentially the top 35 in the world.
Oh, look, hopefully we need someone to come through from, losing Ash Barty's but left such a huge hole, both male and female.
Yes.
Wise. So, Australia needs someone contending.
Yep. Who's going to be that next superstar, and that's what we're really looking forward to. All right, let's move on to cricket, mate. Just comes across the desk this morning that Maxwell's had a mishap injury during practice.
Yeah, Owen smashed a straight drive. Let's be honest, it's probably surprising this doesn't happen more often in cricket. The bats now, the ball comes back like a rocket. So many times there's narrow things at training at every level. So I'm actually surprised this doesn't happen more. So, look, he's come back to Australia. It looks like there's a reasonable amount of damage there. So,
it's going to be an interesting
operator
watch.
and see how long he's out for.
All right, mate, we'll talk a little bit more cricket as far as local cricket goes next week, but let's talk about the Sheffield Shield. Sheffield Shield obviously being played this week, but the 2 one-dayers, unfortunately, the men haven't got off to the start they would have liked in defending their championship.
Yeah, been disappointing. Look, we really batted. WA looked like they were going to get 350 the other day and came back, kept them under 300. We're just saying, like, all we're just going to do is bat smart here and we'll get them on Karen Rolton. Like, the oval's so quick.
Yep.
Incredibly, because it's been top dressed with so much sand. Like, I was at a meeting there, an umpires meeting there, probably 3 weeks before the start, and there was no outfield. It was all just sand. But geez, they did it quick. And it still runs. So the sand was coming up, but it was still just running so quick. This bit of rain and all that, I think it'll be perfect now.
Yes.
The rain we're meant to get in the next couple of days.
Yep.
But we batted just dumb. Really did.
5.5 overs to spare. Losing by 66 runs to Western Australia wasn't exactly what we had in mind. And New South Wales, obviously, once again, getting the chocolates there with a 131-run victory. But we left plenty of overs on the table as well.
No, we've played badly these 2 games. It's a bit of a worry.
Is it a premiership hangover? I know it's easy to say that.
No, I don't think it is in terms of because what we're going to talk about later.
Yep.
Well, players just spread left, right, and centre. McSweeney, Scott, Doggett, McAndrew's a worry. He's had a infected ear and it's affected his balance. So that's up in the air for how long there. Just trying to think who else. Kerry didn't play. Head didn't play. Who else is over? So I think there was 8 or 9 out.
Yes.
Of us. Now that's the equivalent of having 12 to 13 out in footy. So it's a bit crazy in that way. We'll leave that for later.
We will indeed. There. While we're talking about Alex Carey, our condolences obviously going to the Carey family for Alex obviously losing his father in the last.
Lovely bloke too, Gordon, and he fought that for quite a long time. He was up in the air right when Alex made his test debut.
Yes.
Gordon before that, so. And
he got to see him win a Sheffield Shield, which is high on Alex's wish list, I suppose, of things that he wanted to achieve in cricket.
Unfortunately, Gordon wasn't there either there at that. But
you still get to share
he watched it at home and all that. But look, quality family, the Careys. I've made that point before.
Absolutely.
And all the best to Alex and etc.
Let's talk about the women's just briefly. The women's getting up over the Tasmanian Tigers in their first game by 36 runs and then going down by 6 wickets in their second game. So
I was there on Sunday and I thought it was quite strange. The rain around Sunday morning and South Australia won the toss and batted, and the ball did a fair bit early and really 4 for 30, the game was over. I couldn't work out why we batted. I thought that was a really bad decision there. And I will say it did happen on Sunday, and full credit to Amanda Jane Wellington and Peter George umpiring. Amanda Jane Wellington hit a 6, and the ball happened to hit a spectator. And she went over in the innings break to check how she was. Peter George also umpiring just to check on him. Look, okay, there's not a huge crowd and all that, but they don't have to do that. And just a big tick for both of them there. And Darren, the man who was hit, really appreciated it and that side of things. And I think it got a big tick from everyone around. There was probably only 100 people there. Well, everyone saw that.
Yes.
So They
only need to tell half of those people, and then half of those people, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, mate, and good for Cricket South Australia as well to be involved with that, and Cricket Australia obviously with the umpiring as well. All right, let's move on to the NRL grand final this week. But surprise, surprise, which team is in it again? Melbourne Storm.
Yeah, and but Brisbane Panthers stuffed that up on Sunday.
Yes.
They really choked. And look, it was interesting that we talk about, the AFL umpiring and the over-the-top number of frees and that. Well, it's interesting that was the word around the rugby, that the referee who played all of the infringements, he missed the game. He got dropped after Thursday, and he was the experienced guy and missed out. So interesting there. leave the game alone.
Exactly right.
Let the players decide the result.
Yes, we all know that if umpire doesn't impede on any of the games, it's usually a pretty good game. So certainly one to watch out for there. A big one that's come across is that the NRL are looking to go back to potentially a 2:30 start, and yet the AFL are looking to go to
the other way.
Other way.
Amusing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Look, that might actually help keep the AFL in the afternoon time slot, I reckon. Look, and probably that's the one thing which gets missed in terms of all of our tips and thinking, but it's so hard to try and work out. That's the only final played in the day.
Yep.
What was it? Hawthorn and GWS, and that was in the afternoon.
Yes.
Afternoon to twilight sort of thing. But the rest of night final, so it's hard to judge. But I still think the afternoon, it's the best at pubs, parties, the get-together.
You get your day organised early, you then go off to do what you need to do. I think it is as well. All right, mate. Everyone's been hanging out for this one. We'll leave the good, the bad, the ugly this week, but it's time for...
Rulebook Rant.
Right, cricket-wise, we have got, in terms of the Ashes series coming up, the biggest series in cricket, and probably one at the moment, which is 50-50. We haven't got the great sides of the past. We're getting older. We know there's big doubts on our batting, Cummins injury, our bowling's older. It's up for grabs. But at the moment, we've got our team spread everywhere. We're in India. We're in New Zealand. For goodness sake, why can't we have everyone here and have the first 3 rounds of Shield cricket, the absolute highest intensity competition there can be? It shits me. So it's not just the Australian Cricket Board and that. It's World Cricket. Mickey Mouse tournaments, which mean nothing, are being played and prioritised above. So we have the Sheffield Shield competition severely compromised, which is just stupid. It's garbage. Play it with everyone at full strength. I still think England should be having proper warm-up games as well, as we should when we go to England like you used to. I know you're saying, some people are thinking stop living in the past, rulebook and all that. I don't think that one's really hard.
Yep.
If everyone did it right, you're obliged to play 2 warm-up games and you're going to play a full-strength side, not the Mickey Mouse sides which got put. It used to be you did well against the touring sides. It helped your chances of getting picked for Australia.
Yep.
That's the way it should be. Get back the game number 1. Stop worrying about dollars so much. Mickey Mouse comps, prioritise.
Bang, ladies and gentlemen, that is our rulebook rant for tonight. All right, we better wind things up there. Thank you once again for joining me, mate. Absolute pleasure. And the AFL season is done as far as playing goes. But we've got an interesting couple of weeks with trade coming up and recruiting and drafts and all sorts of stuff. So we'll get on top of that as well. All right, mate, we'll leave things until next week. Until then, we'll do much better. See ya.
Thanks, mate.
In this crazy world we live in, we all need the distraction. Enjoying the show? Like, rate, and subscribe. Hook up and connect with us on social media at Sportscast SA. We'll see you next time on Game On.